Untitled Media.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Chabruggi, and joining me from Arizona as usual is Derek. How's it going, Derek?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
It's been a day.
You were telling me that a squirrel got fried,
electrical
fried at your house in your complex today.
Yeah, I woke up this morning to a really loud bzzz, then my power goes out. So I get up and I get my dogs and we go outside and get around over there where they're at, and the grass is burning, and the squirrels laying there fried, and the insulators up on the pole are still burning. And
wow.
And I've been having internet issues ever since, with it dropping and coming back and dropping and coming back. So if you guys lose me for about a minute or two, that's why, because I'm trying to get things restored and back. So
trying to get it
hopefully
going.
it'll hold tight for the next hour.
Yeah. Well, so far so good. You look like you have a pretty clean connection. Allan shared us in Leavenworth. We got Rodney Cox here tonight. How you doing, Rodney? And we got Rodney. Chelsea Beach. Never
looks like she's on the beach.
I know. I like it. I love the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was gonna ask you if you've been following it, because and as soon as I bring it up, there's this lady, I think Debbie Collier or something like that.
Name sounds a little familiar.
She was missing.
Is it down in Georgia?
I think so. I'm looking it up right now because I hadn't heard anything about it. Yeah, Debbie Collier. It's a case that's going on down in Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lady that was missing, and they found her body, and it looks like they're starting to question her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, I read a story about that a day or two ago, I guess it was, and yeah, they found her nude down they found her rental car first. Mm-hmm. Then they searched the area close to the rental car, and she was down like in the bottom of a ditch or a hill. She was hanging on to a tree. Her body was burnt. There was a burned blue tarp next to her or close to her.
And she had gone to like a Dollar General type thing a few hours before she died, they said, and like all the items she had bought was with, I don't know. Basically, they're just saying that it's one of those situations where every couple of hours, especially over the last 5 or 6 days, every couple of hours there's new articles being released with new information and stuff. So I just saw a lot of people were really paying attention to that. So
I saw that she supposedly had messaged her daughter, I can't remember what app it was, but wired her like $2,400 and said they won't let her go and stuff like that.
It's starting to sound like her daughter and that daughter's boyfriend might have some explaining to do. I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely going to keep track of what's going on. Obviously, it's a terrible story. Trisha shared us out. Roxanne Fisher's here. Lord Thomas is watching from Florida.
Originally from Lebo, Kansas. Not sure what that is.
Kelly Uphoff is here. She's my Facebook friend. She's awesome. Melanie Cushenberry watching from Osawatomie.
Yeah, Kelly's in Kentucky now, but she used to live in Larned.
Oh, nice. A long ways away from Larned, Kentucky. Well, she says Lebo is near Emporia. Okay.
So Kelly, is the baby still watching too?
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Yeah, she just had her baby, and she's I guess out in Kentucky now. Scott Messerschmidt's here from Emporia. That's awesome. Well, before we get into cases tonight, Ricky's been a part of a really great project going on. It's the deck of cards that's being released to the inmates in the state of Kansas. You've probably heard about the deck of cards projects. They do it in I think all 50 states. And then the chapter that does the one in Kansas reached out to Ricky within the last year, and he's helped them tremendously with that. This week's case is going to be Joshua Anton Jernigan. You want to talk a little bit about the deck of cards a little bit, and then tell us about this case?
Yeah, I can. I mean, yeah, like Derek was saying, they was actually KDOC got a hold of me and asked me for case suggestions for the deck, but they also got a hold of the police departments and sheriff departments around the state too. So, but they did ask for my input because I've been doing this for as long as I've been doing it now, and so I sent them like 35 flyers. And some of the ones that I suggested are in there. There's a lot in there that I'd never heard of before, but
Right.
yeah, I started doing what's going on with the flyer deal is they're going to start sending those out to the correctional facilities and stuff as well, and they uh they like how mine are the flyers are a little bit more detailed than the cards are and stuff like that, and
Right.
so they want to include them. And I got to thinking about it when I was doing the flyers. I was like, I got to figure out a way to try to include the card on the flyer. So that's
Yeah.
what I've done is I've started attaching the card to the flyer as well. It's part of the flyer. So
That's
I
good,
thought that
man.
was a
Yeah,
pretty
it
cool
looks
idea.
really cool. The card
Yeah, yeah,
with the case on it.
yeah. They gave me sent me a link, and it's on the KBI website, and a link to a PDF file of all the cards, and I just used the images of the cards off the PDF file for the flyer. But yeah, here's the if you can, well, let me move it over this way. Here is the actual Joshua Jernigan card from the deck because I actually have the deck in hand. They sent me one. But yeah, there's the
All
cards.
of them.
Yep, it's pretty cool. It's the first time Kansas has ever done one, so I'm hoping it will yield some positive results and get some cases filed. But there's the box.
My buddy
Yeah,
Trinidad from Mustang, Oklahoma, tuning in.
that's cool.
Laura says, "Great.
Yeah, I'm
Hopefully that
hoping
will
they do
help."
solve some cases. That's the goal. Is I guess other states have had some decent success with uh, doing these cards in their institute, their prisons, their jails, and whatever, and they've had some decent results with getting some information to solve some cases. So Kansas is hoping to follow suit and do the same. So
That's a great idea, man. Whoever
yeah, it
came up
is.
with that, putting
Yeah,
information, because how many cases are solved because of jailhouse snitches?
yeah,
Nobody wants to be a rat until you put 30 years behind them. It's like, hey, you want to sit in here for 30 years, or do you want to tell us what we want to know, and maybe you can go home?
yeah.
So it's definitely that's definitely cool. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the case here. Let's talk about Joshua.
Okay, let me. Okay, this is an unsolved homicide from Topeka. Now, on October 3rd, 2017. So the anniversary of his case is coming up here in just less than a week. Topeka police are seeking the public's help to track down the person who shot and killed Joshua Antoine Jernigan, 30, and critically wounded a woman in the Westview Apartments, a three-story brick building at 1324 Southwest Western in Topeka. The shooting was reported about 4:30 a.m. An infant and toddler were found unharmed in the apartment. If you have any information regarding Joshua's death, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Detectives at 785-368-9300 or Capital Area Crime Stoppers at 785-234-0007 or KBI at 800-572-7463. And I've also included on the flyer the Crime Stoppers banner from the Crime Stoppers website from Shawnee County, and it's got the phone number again, the website where you can go submit a web tip anonymously, or you have the P3 tips you can download on the phone and submit that way also. That's something else I'm also doing for the card flyers is including Crime Stoppers banners if I can find them.
Right. Yeah. Well, those are important numbers on there because a lot of times people are too afraid to just come out and say something that they know. But
Yeah.
if there's a way for them to do it anonymously and not be attached to it, you have a bigger chance of somebody calling in and saying something.
Yeah, I got to show you something real fast. Sorry about the noise. My brother actually latched onto these through eBay, and I'm surprised. He surprised me with them. Not that one. but they're cold case dex cards too for Florida, and this one's the first edition they did for Florida, and this is the fourth edition,
Nice.
and this is the seventh edition. I haven't opened them yet, but yeah. So these are some of the Florida cold case decks that Florida's done. So I've got a few of those now.
You
Thanks
can
to my
find some
brother.
cool stuff on eBay, man. I found some
Yeah.
stuff from my hometown that like nobody's ever been to.
Yeah.
It's just really wild, man. Well, that's really cool, man. And hopefully this is a long lasting relationship you have with them. Maybe you can be
Hope
on the
so.
deck
And
every
they,
year, you know.
yeah, and they did include Kansas Missing and Unsolved on KBI's um, their website page, talking about the cards and everything. Were listed as a link in the source, so we're
Nice.
on there. So, and I'm really
Perfect.
honored they did that. They asked me if it was okay if they did that, and I was like, yeah, by all means, I have no problem with that.
Hey, Esther.
And then we had another one. I still got to look at this one after the show. And there's another case that it's in the Kansas Missing Unsolved Homicides page inbox. I got to look at, but it's I believe an unsolved homicide in Colorado, and they said that they had messaged John Walsh's or something or other regarding John Walsh's Facebook or something like that, and they referred them to us. So I'm like,
Really?
oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
That's crazy. John Walsh,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. So I'm like, all right, that works.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, we got 15 cases to get through, everybody. We got about 45 minutes to do it. We should have plenty of time. You're watching the Kansas Missing Unsolved podcast. We'll be right back after this.
If you or someone you know is thinking of running from home, has run away, or if you are a runaway ready to go back home, call 1-800-RUNAWAY. That's 1-800-786-2929.
Okay. And this one is Hannah Wood. And real quick before we get started on Hannah Wood, I'm going to let people inquiring about Tatum and where Tatum been and stuff like that. She's basically working as my right hand behind the scenes right now, but she's also started up.
Oh, no.
Uh,
Hey, Ricky, we can't hear a word you're saying, buddy. You're completely cutting out right now. Okay, Ricky's having some issues with his
here we go
with his internet tonight, but we will work on that. Kinda. You're kinda still coming in a little bit. Try again.
All right. It's doing good. Told Hannah was fire up.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. This is it's Hannah Wood, missing from Hutchinson, Kansas, since March 1st, 2022. She's 17 years old. She's 5'3" to 5'6". She weighs 155 pounds. Her hair is red but dyed black, and her eyes are blue. Hannah Woods is missing, endangered runaway who went missing from Hutchinson, Kansas on March 1st, 2022. She is 17 years old, 5'3" to 5'6", weighs at 156 pounds. She has red hair that was last known to be dyed black and blue eyes. Hannah may wear glasses. If you have any information regarding Hannah's disappearance or if you know of her whereabouts, please contact the Hutchinson, Kansas Police Department at 620-694-2816 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. Ricky, do we got you back?
I don't know. You tell me. Am I
Yeah,
back?
you're back. You were golden.
Okay, good. But no, what I was saying was Tatum, she's still helping me, with Kansas Missing and Unsolved and everything. But I taught her how to make flyers, so she started her own missing persons Facebook page called Guardian Voices of the Missing. So she's out there doing that too, as well as helping me with Kansas Missing. So she's still very much part of things.
Nice.
Yeah.
The more flyers in this world, the better.
Oh yeah.
She's
doing
no
more
joke.
where I do mostly Kansas and a few outside Kansas. She's mainly focusing on outside of Kansas. She's doing more nationwide. So
yeah, that's awesome. Let's talk about Dean Morris in Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay, let's see if I can do this one without cutting out again.
You sound good so far.
Okay. Well, Dean Morrison's missing from Lawrence, Kansas since April 2nd of 2022. He's 42 years old, 6 foot tall, 155 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. He is a homeless individual in Lawrence, Kansas. He was last seen by anyone who was a part of his family on April 2nd, 2022. He usually rides a bus or he's on foot or he rides a bicycle. Again, he's 42, he's 6 foot tall, weighs about 155 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. He may have shaved off his beard. He does have a medium-sized scar on the back of his right hand near his thumb. He was last known to be wearing dark blue Adidas, windbreaker-type pants, and bright yellow shoes. He may be carrying a black backpack with a small green Free State High School logo on it. If you have any information regarding Dean's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Lawrence, Kansas Police Department at 785-832-7509 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can't get him located and back to where he needs to be. I know his family is looking for him. So let's see if we can help him find him.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
April was a long time ago. It's been a pretty brutal summer since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence is I've only been to Lawrence once. I was supposed to stay there for a couple of weeks, and I ended up staying in Lawrence for maybe 12 hours because I was going to stay in Lawrence for a couple of weeks and then move to North Carolina to live with my dad. And then some stuff happened that day I was there, and I ended up getting on a bus that night to go to North Carolina. But I remember that 12 hours in Lawrence. That's a very eclectic town. Lots of different kinds of people in Lawrence for sure.
Wow.
So you see, all walks of life. It's a college town. Everybody's there from all over the state, sometimes all over the country, and big melting pot of different people. So, it's not a huge town, but there's a lot of people there, if you know what I mean.
Right.
It's a lot of people from all over the place. Well, I hope that there's some resolution on this. Hopefully they can somebody can hear from Dean, maybe get some kind of message on social media, something like that, just some kind of sign of life from Dean so his family can know he's safe.
Right.
Well, let's talk about Jesse Brown, Great Bend, Kansas. Speaking of not a very big town.
Yeah. He's been missing from Great Bend since August 5th of this year. He's 14. He's 5'7", 155 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Jesse's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Great Bend, Kansas Police Department at 620-793-4120 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Jesse located and back to where he needs to be. And hopefully he's safe wherever he's at. But just, Jesse, if you hear this or see this, call somebody, let them know where you are and, say, hey, come get me. I'm ready to come back.
Yeah, and if you watch this show every week, it probably sounds like a broken record. There's only so many things you can say about people in these situations, but right. I'm gonna say it again, Jesse. If you're watching this, you're 14. I'm assuming you should be in school, unless you're like a genius and you graduated at 12 or something. But I'm assuming you should be in school learning. Trust me. Make sure you get an education, at least a high school diploma. It'll make a world of difference in your adult life if you have at least a high school diploma, as far as just supporting yourself and getting to the next level in life. So
right.
Take your education seriously. Right now school's in session, and as much as that's no fun, it's like one of those things, just like tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., my alarm's going to go off and I have to go to a job that I don't want to do. But, that's what I got to do to get by. But, right now is a good time to call somebody, get back to where you need to be, and just focus on education and being the best you can be. And like I said, here in a couple of years, you'll be an adult, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah, definitely.
We have Chelsea says I'm spot on about Lawrence. I don't know. I really liked it, but it's just everybody in Lawrence is from some other part of the state or country. It's like you might meet a few people from there, but there's just so many people there going to that school and very eclectic. Let's talk about Jade. We covered her, I'm thinking, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Probably. I don't remember. As I've heard it said, I've slept since then. She's missing from Atchison, Kansas since April 25th of this year. She's 17. She's 5'2" to 5'4", 120 pounds. Her hair's dyed half red and half black. She has brown eyes. She was last seen at school and hasn't been heard from or seen since then. She was also known to be wearing a light gray Champion hoodie, gray or light blue pants, and a black and white checked Vans shoes. If you have any information regarding Jade's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Atchison, Kansas Police Department at 913-367-4323 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Jade located and back to where she needs to be. And again, hopefully she's okay. And if she hears or sees this, Jade, let somebody know where you are. Let them know you're ready to come back.
Last seen at school, huh?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, April.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
2 months. Yeah. So when it gets worrisome is when months go by and
no sign of life.
Yeah, that's when it gets really worrisome.
I almost wish that because sometimes you'll put flyers up and the people on the flyers will message you or comment on their own flyers. At least at those point, they're still around.
Yeah.
As frustrating as it is to see somebody not take it seriously that they're on a missing poster, but at least even if they're trolling the page, they're alive. That's awesome. You're like, okay, well, they're trolling the page, they're saying they're not missing, but at least we know they're okay.
Yeah.
You got some music going on over there?
That's somebody's calling me. My phone's clear across my bedroom on my nightstand, so it's just gonna have to go off.
It's just gonna have to ring. Let's go ahead and talk about Alex Nunes.
All right, that's one that
Another Great Bend
did today. He is missing from Great Bend, Kansas, since September 25th of this year. He's 16 years old. He's 5'11", 166 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. It's believed he may still be in the Great Bend area, or he may be in the Wichita, Kansas area. He's last seen wearing a black hoodie with red lettering, black stonewashed jeans with holes in them, black and gold Air Jordan shoes, and a black and red backpack and black duffel bag. If you have any information regarding Alex's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Barton County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-793-1876, or you can call anonymously at 620-792-1300 or toll free at 1-888-305-1300 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Alex located and back to where he needs to be.
Great Bend making the show twice.
Yeah.
We don't see that one very often. Has he been missing before in the past?
I don't recall, honestly.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know. Shanna's here. What's up, Shanna?
Hey, Shanna. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Looks like we got another youngster here, Andres Hernandez, 16-year-old.
Yeah, right. That's another one I did today, actually, too. What is this? I have to find him. All right. This one from Kansas City, Kansas. Is September 25th of 2022. He's 16. He's 5'10", 160 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. It's believed he may still be in the Kansas City, Kansas area, or he may be in the northeast area of Kansas City, Missouri. If you have any information regarding Andres' disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Andres located and back to where he needs to be. And hopefully, Andres, if you're hearing this or seeing this, let somebody know where you are and, hey, come pick me up.
Yeah.
I know I say that a lot, but, hey, it's time.
Good advice. And we haven't said this in a while, but also very important. If there's any reason you're not where you are because of something that is happening, then you need to go to the authorities. Anybody that we're talking about tonight, if you're not where you're supposed to be because there could be some type of abuse going on, obviously we don't want you to go back to an abusive situation, but that's a situation where you're going to have to report that. You're going to have to talk to somebody. Because we understand that sometimes people are fleeing a bad situation, and that's why they end up on this show. We don't know anybody's situation. We don't want anybody to go back to an abuser. But if anybody sees this show and you're on this show and that's the situation, please contact the authorities.
Definitely.
So tonight's featured case, Dodge City, Allan Ortega. Looks like he's been missing for a little while now.
Yeah, been missing since July 12th of this year. He's 63. He's 5'6", 190 pounds, gray or partially gray hair and brown eyes. And I wished I had more information on his disappearance, but I honestly don't. So if you have any information regarding Allan's disappearance, his whereabouts, please call the Dodge City, Kansas Police Department at 620-225-8126 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get Allan located and back to his family.
Do you know, how did you find out about his case?
I think it was just a KBI. It was on KBI, I believe.
Yeah, I wish there was more information, but it sounds like the only thing that's known to the public is he's missing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got family and friends that are worried.
Well, I'm sure he does.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break. We're going to hear from producer Brandon Smith. He's going to tell you about a case that we cover every week.
Hi, this is Brandon, producer of the Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast, and today I want to talk to you about one of our outstanding cases by the name of Dana Jane Bruce. Dana Jane Bruce went missing from Sedalia, Missouri on October 4th of 2008. At the time of her disappearance, she was 23. She would now be 36 years old. Her height is 5'2", and she weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair and green hazel eyes. Dana Jane Bruce went missing from Sedalia, Missouri on October 4th of 2008. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia, Missouri. She had left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitters more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was seen at the Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model red Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified the man that Dana was with on the night she vanished. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Bruce after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities haven't named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told the questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar and he never saw her after that. She left all her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush, and she doesn't have credit cards, debit cards, a checking account, a cell phone, or a car. Dana was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word Rebel in silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. Dana has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye, and Dana has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced, one each time. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100 or the MSHP at 573-526-6178 or toll free at 866-362-6422, and let's work and try and get Dana back home.
Love hearing from that producer Brandon Smith.
Slight correction though, she's now 37.
37. Yeah, we need to update our standalones, but yeah. That's we cover that every week. We want to make sure to get that in there.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about Leah Weber.
All right. I believe we've covered her in the past too, but never hurts to revisit. Let's see here. She's missing from Great Bend, Kansas since June 28th of 2022. She's 16. She's 5'4", 120 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Leah's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Great Bend, Kansas Police Department at 620-793-4120 or KBI at 785-296-4017. See if we can't get Leah located and back to where she needs to be. And Leah, if you hear this or see this, give somebody a call and let them know you're ready to be picked up and go and taken back to where you need to be.
Yeah, June.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and every time I see it, it's anybody that's like potentially should be in school. You're just like, gotta go to school, at least get that diploma. You got to be in school. So
right.
Just being there is good. Like I'm not very bright. I went to school every day. I didn't do well, but you got to go every day and you got to be there so you can be the best you, so you can do things, just do basic things. Let's talk about Johnny. Looks like a Derby, Kansas case.
Okay. All right, Johnny Rotana is missing from Derby, Kansas on September 25th of this year. He's 34. He's 5'6", 130 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Left his 2009 Toyota Corolla, driving that with Kansas license plate number 532 PFP. Sorry, has the Las Vegas Raiders football team emblem on the back windshield, as you can see in the photo. Well, I don't think we have the photo of it up, but it's on the back window. His phone was found in the street near Pawnee and Ridgewood. Again, he's 34. He's 5'6", weighs 130 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. He has multiple tattoos, and we have several on the flyer. He's last known to be wearing a white shirt, blue and black basketball shorts, and a black Las Vegas Raiders hat. If you have any information regarding Johnny's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Derby, Kansas Police Department at 316-788-1557 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Johnny located and back to where he needs to be. My understanding is families had contact with him, but LE has not, so they're still trying to find him to verify that he's okay. So
right, yeah,
that's where that stands.
Well, that's the situation. I mean, if you have,
I
don't know, but it's only been 2 days, so there's times on the side of us, that it hasn't been that long, and hopefully this just has a nice resolution here soon. Right. Especially if the family's in contact with him, we know that from what they're saying he's okay. So now it's just about kind of making sure he's okay.
Yep, hopefully he is.
Let's talk about Richard Salisbury, Gray County, Kansas.
All right. And I've actually spoken with a family member of his, and they're quite concerned. He's missing from Gray County, Kansas since September 20th of 2022. He's 55, 6'1", 200 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. He was last seen in a cornfield in Gray County, Kansas. A friend dropped him off on the side of the road by the cornfield. His friend was supposed to come back and pick him up in 10 minutes, but he never did. Or he did, but there was no sign of Richard there at the time. Richard's 55. He's 6'1", weighs 200 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. And he was last known to possibly be wearing a gray shirt, jeans, either black or blue, and a brown cap. If you have any information regarding Richard's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Gray County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-855-3916 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Richard located and back to where he needs to be. And I have a little bit more specific information on what road he was dropped off on too. Let me see if I can locate it real quick here.
You know where Gray County is?
Not exactly.
I'm going to make it my goal to learn about the state of Kansas.
And this is in the vicinity of Copeland, 2 Road, and GG Road between 7 and 8. So
that is gibberish.
Well, Copeland and 2 Road and GG Road. It's however they've got their roads labeled in that particular area.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
assuming
my dad would kind of know what you mean, but yeah, that's the story of Kansas, though. That's an actual description of an area.
Yeah.
People there know how to get there, but yeah, that's. But no, I think first of all, I need to learn about the state of Kansas and learn where all these towns are. But I don't know. It seems like when you have where you're saying that's the coordinates of where he was last dropped off.
Yeah.
Seems like if you like look that up, it would just be like the country. Am I wrong, or does it like was he dropped off like?
That'd be my assumption. Would be a rural
Which
area.
pretty sketchy. Like, I mean, I don't. I'm 39 years old. I don't know if I'm grown up enough to be dropped off in the country. Like, yeah, I'll figure it out. That's pretty scary.
Right.
Yeah, Shanna says that story sounds off. That's what I'm saying.
And that's kind of what I thought too, actually. And me and the
Just
family
being
member,
honest, like,
we've
who
had
dropped somebody off? And yeah, we don't know anything, but like, I mean, getting dropped off in the middle of nowhere, that's a little sketchy. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, me and his family member had a discussion about that, and yeah, they're fearing for Richard's safety.
That's not good. Amanda Cunningham is here from Amarillo.
Amarillo by morning.
And she says Gray County is Montezuma, which is a lot closer to home than I thought. I've not been to Montezuma a ton, but when I used to work in the funeral industry, I was in Montezuma a few times. That's pretty close to where I grew up. Choctaw, Oklahoma, in the house. Patricia Hawkins. And we're gonna share Dana's flyer forever,
There's a
until we
city
get
in
some
that
kind of
county.
news.
So yeah. And then we got Patricia Hawkins here from Choctaw, Oklahoma.
Double T, Gray County is in Southwest. I should know that. Cimarron is a very tiny town. Cimarron is the largest city. Wow. Well, hopefully that. Yeah, I agree though with Shanna. That's pretty. Dropped off and returned in 10 minutes. Exactly.
No
It
idea. No
doesn't
idea.
make sense.
Family member didn't have that information, so I don't know.
Emma Casper's here from Salina.
Hey, Emma, fellow Salinan. How you doing?
We got one more Kansas case left. Obviously, the two other ones that we're going to cover this week that we cover every week are Kansas cases, but we're gonna talk about Sarah White, and then we're gonna go out of state for a couple of cases.
Yeah, this is another new one that I've done today. She is missing from Wamego, Kansas, on September 23rd of 2022. She's 17, 5'5", 130 pounds, blonde or strawberry hair and blue eyes. She left her home in Wamego several days ago and has not returned. Sarah is believed to be in the Manhattan, Kansas area. And she's 17 years old, 5'5", weighs 130 pounds. She has blonde or strawberry hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Sarah's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Wamego, Kansas Police Department at 785-456-9553 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can get Sarah back home where she needs to be. And Sarah, if you hear this or see this, let somebody know where you are so they can come get you and get you back home. In recent years, I've heard some not so nice things about the underbelly of Manhattan.
Hey, man, the underbelly of any town, man, which it exists. People think.
Well,
I'm from a little town in Southwest Kansas, about 1,500 people, and there's an underbelly. You know what I mean? Like, trouble is everywhere, but you're right. Like, Manhattan. Yeah. But again, Manhattan's kind of like Lawrence. Manhattan is a college town. There's people from all over the state there.
So that was part of the Saline County Coalition for Traffic Persons here in Salina, and we had a young lady come in and talk to us that was a trafficking survivor or trafficking victim, however you want to phrase that. And she was telling us when she was talking to us that she was trafficked in the Manhattan area and the small towns around Manhattan. And she said the reason being the small towns is because nobody ever thinks it'll happen in the smaller towns. So the traffickers would take her there. So, she was traveling, and she said Manhattan didn't really want to address it because they're the college town. They want to keep students coming in, that kind of thing. But she was trafficked around the Manhattan area.
Well, dark thing. This is dark, and this is this isn't like trying to cause trouble, but the truth is, if a crime like rape or somebody dying of like a drug related anything that would look bad, if your child is either like a victim of like a sexual assault or they are a victim of homicide and it happens on a college campus, good luck getting a real police officer to help you out. Like I have a friend from Elkhart, Kansas. He wasn't my friend, but a friend of mine. It was her son. He went to Manhattan, and they found him dead in his car one night, and his car was running, and uh she called my radio show, and she had told me all this stuff. And long story short, about 2 years later, it turns out that some guys from Manhattan that were kids, these were kids, man, they were 19 years old, but they were kids, and they were so wrapped up in addiction. They befriended him. They told him, they were his friend. They drove him to a bunch of places where he got loans, and then they went and bought heroin, and they said he'd never done it before, and they shot him up with enough they thought they were just going to knock him out and rob him, but they killed him. And then the guy that gave him the shot, he ended up going to prison over it. He did about 5 years, got out, and then he died of a drug overdose. I mean, just talk about a waste. It's just like so sad that this can, that kind of stuff can happen. But yeah, it was in a college town, and you're right, man. It's hard to get real help whenever you have the battle of, hey, we're sorry this happened, but we can't have any negative publicity here because we're trying to run a business, which I understand, but it's really disrespectful if you've ever had a crime done to you on a campus and you've never talked to an actual police officer. You've only talked to campus police.
Still don't let that stop you from reporting, though. Still report it. I mean,
you're right.
Not report it. I mean, still report it.
Oh no, definitely report it. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, you were mentioning earlier, yeah, sometimes it's hard to get to.
Lisa Cruz is asking if someone's missing from Dodge City. Yeah, it was a gentleman named Allan Ortega that we covered earlier in the show.
Yeah, on Ortega.
Yeah,
missing since July
12th of this year. 63, 5'6", 190 pounds, gray or partial gray hair and brown eyes.
And that's pretty much all the flyer said too. We didn't really have
I didn't have much information besides that, but yeah, if you have any information on it, Dodge City's Police Department number 620-225-8126 or KBI 785-296-4017. If you have any information regarding Allan, so I'm sure his family would like to have him home.
Yeah. Let's talk about Michelle Reynolds.
This is one that I just happened to run across, and it's like I'm doing a flyer for her because there's another case that's just kind of out there. She's missing from Alvin, Texas, and been missing since September 22nd. On September 23rd, her Lexus RX 300 with Texas license plate number RSV 2914 was pinged in New Orleans. Her husband had got a hold of Lexus roadside, and together they pinged the vehicle, and it was pinged in New Orleans. So New Orleans police were called, and they went to where the location was where the vehicle pinged, but the vehicle was not there. Her Lexus was located the next day in New Orleans, but she was nowhere to be found. And from what I was reading today, I read a little bit more. Her cell phone was in the car, was charged, but was turned off. Her other personal belongings were in the vehicle as well, but they have no idea where Michelle is. So again, she's 48 years old. She's 5'10". She has long blonde hair and brown eyes. Her weight was not available, unfortunately. But if you have any information regarding Michelle's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Brazoria County, Texas Sheriff's Office at 979-864-2392 or the New Orleans, Louisiana Police Department at 504-821-8222. Both departments have a report on her and are looking for her. So get this, shared around Texas, around New Orleans, and see if we can help get Michelle located. My understanding from what I read was that she had made the comment she was going to go grab something to eat real quick and she'd be right back, and didn't come back. I mean, she's a school teacher. I know she's got a lot of her students are worried about her and concerned about her, and the school faculty worried about her. They're helping the family as much as they can. She is married. She has 3 young children. They're all, pretty distraught and upset. So, if we can get this out there and somebody sees Michelle, call that in immediately and see if we can't get her found and back home safe to her husband and kids.
So just so we got this straight, she's missing from Alvin, her cell phone and car, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, Alvin, Texas.
That's 360 miles, man. That's a long way to be from
She's
home.
She's a teacher, I believe, in the Houston area. So yeah,
man, that is really scary.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's quite a distance.
Yeah, 360 miles, man. That's 5.5 hour drive.
Yeah. So I mean, don't know if she went there on her own. Was she carjacked? I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios at play here. So,
I mean, for her to just, I mean, I understand if they picked up her car like in the next town over, like 30, 40 minutes away, but 5.5 hours away. I don't know anything about it, but to me, like you said, carjack. To me, it seems like maybe somebody drove her car there. I don't know. It just seems like a random and far away place to find her stuff.
Yeah, and she's a decently tall young lady. I mean, she's 5'10", so I mean, makes me. I'm just kind of wondering, when they found the vehicle, was the seat moved forward a little bit closer than it should have been? Was it pushed back further than what it should have been? I mean, was there any? I mean, I'm sure they've got the vehicle and they're probably processing it and going over it, trying to see what they can find. Hopefully, they find something, and hopefully there's some security footage out there somewhere, whether it be in Alvin, Texas, or in New Orleans, that shows her or something. So there again, there's another avenue that if you're in Alvin, Texas, check your doorbell cameras, or if you're in a business in Alvin, Texas, check your security cameras. Same thing with New Orleans, check your Ring doorbells, check your business cameras, see if there's anything on there that may show her vehicle, who may have been driving her vehicle, whether it was her or somebody else. See if we can't get her found.
Trisha says sounds like a carjacking.
I don't know. That's kind of what I'm wondering, but I don't know. They haven't mentioned anything along those lines, and so I don't know. I checked for updates right before the show, and there wasn't really anything new out there. So
yeah. Well, I'm with you. I hope that there's some kind of news about this. Hopefully they find her. Maybe she just needed a break, but it's very sketchy to find her stuff like that, 5.5 hours away from where she was supposed to be. So oh no, Ricky, you're cutting out again, man. Yeah, you're cutting out. Okay, so real quick, while Ricky's re-downloading the internet, he's stuck in space right now. I am going to tell you about Abby Renee Schaefer, and hopefully Ricky's back by the time I'm done reading the flyer, because I obviously have questions about this. But Abby Renee Schaefer went missing from Kansas City, Missouri on May 23rd, 2022 at 12:30 p.m. Abby was seen getting into a dark gray four-door car with an unknown adult male. Abby is 22 years old, and she is 5'2" tall and weighs about 120 pounds. She has dark brown hair and brown eyes, and Abby has a tattoo of a large fish on her upper right arm and several others. Some of them are pictured on the flyer on Kansas Missing Unsolved. Abby was last known to be wearing a tan-colored long-sleeve crop top, black leggings, and gray Nike sandals. Pictured far right on the flyer that's on the page. There's Ring doorbell footage. The day she went missing. If you have any information regarding Abby's disappearance, or if you know of her whereabouts, please call 911 immediately, or call the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and the Sex Crimes and Missing Persons Unit at 816-234-5220.
Okay, am I back on?
And Ricky's back, and he's sounding good. Yeah, so I mean, obviously we want to be sharing this case as often as possible. This is a pretty serious situation, but is there any kind of updates with her? Or?
The only update that I really have, there's a picture on the flyer of her showing her going back into the house, and the information I was given was when she went back in, she went in to get her cat, because she usually takes her cat pretty much everywhere with her. The cat has since been found and returned to her family, but she still hasn't been located. So
she took the cat in the car with them?
Yeah, she takes the cat quite a few places with her, I guess, and took the cat with her that day, and Like I said, the cat's been recovered. A lady had found it and was feeding it and taking care of it, and since been returned to the family. So, but Abby still has not been located yet.
Wow, that is.
Sorry about my internet connection. It didn't go completely. At least it didn't show it went completely on my end, but it was acting stupid. So I don't know what happened.
Well, it's good now, man. We only got a few more cases to get through, and
But no, what I was talking about a little bit earlier is just a lot of crazy crap going on, and I was. It was a New York thing, and I was reading about this guy that had been arrested for raping a teenager, and he was looking at 25 years in prison. But somehow the prosecutor let him plead down to 30 days in jail plus probation. So he was released until sentencing. And the day before sentencing, he goes out and rapes 5 more people. Now, what kind of a prosecutor will let somebody that was looking at 25 years plead down to 30 days plus probation just for him to go out and rape 5 more people? Makes no sense whatsoever. I read that, and all I could do was sit there and just shake my head and go, what in the world? Who in their right mind would let somebody plead down to that?
Well, it's a whole nother show and a whole nother topic, but
Right.
I feel like there's people out there that are in jail for things that are far less dangerous than harming a child. But it's like if you just Google your neighborhood and sex offender, they're everywhere. It's like, why aren't these
No, I know.
people locked away forever? But they're out. These people are out, and it's a very scary situation, especially if you have children and you're just beating into their heads. Like, literally, there are people out there that want to hurt you, and we know they want to hurt you, and just it's
Right. No, I agree with my brother. He said their prosecutor should be fired. Oh, yeah, I agree. Oh, yeah. I mean, it just blows my brains right out of my head. I just don't get it. Oh, yeah. I believe it was the Bronx is where it was. It was in the Bronx. Man.
wow.
It's time that, our judicial system gets a reality check and realizes that, they want these criminals to take their crime seriously. The criminal justice system needs to take the crime seriously, because until they do, the criminals are not.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. I don't like it. Well, let's talk about Lane Joshua Ewing.
It's actually Ian.
You know what? I called it Ian all day, and I was like, I think it's Lane. I'm gonna embarrass myself and say Ian. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's missing from Springfield, Missouri since April 15th of this year. He's 29 when he went missing. He's now 30. 6'2", 150 pounds, dirty blonde hair and blue eyes. He was last seen at the Stick It in Your Ear music store located in the area of Walnut Street and Roberson in Springfield on April 17th. What a name. At the time of his disappearance, again, he was 29. He's now 30, 6'2", and weighs 150 pounds. He has dirty blonde hair and beard and blue eyes. He has a large tattoo of a cow skull with large horns and roses coming out of its eyes across his chest, as well as several others. Some of them are pictured on the flyer. If you have any information regarding Ian's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call Detective Davis with the Springfield, Missouri Police Department at 417-864-1810 or we're in Missouri State Highway Patrol Missing Persons Unit at 573-526-6178 or toll free at 866-362-6422 and see if we can't help get Ian located and back home to his family.
Yeah, that is a wild name for a music store.
Yeah. Stick It in Your music store.
I'm just glad there's a music store in Springfield, Missouri. Those used to be all over the place, and it's hard to find a music store anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about Asia Adams.
Okay. And she's missing from the St. Louis, Missouri area since January 15th of this year, so quite a while. She's 17. She's 5'3", 110 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Believe that she may still be in the local St. Louis area, and she may be in the company of her female child. And she's 17. She's 5'3", weighs 110 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Asia's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call St. Louis County, Missouri Police Department at 636-529-8210, or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178, or toll free at 866-362-6422, and see if we can't help get Asia located and back to where she needs to be, and her child as well.
Yeah.
I don't have any information on, the child as far as whether the child's male or female, the age or anything like that. Just that she may be in the company of her it's female child. So yeah, female child. So I do have that.
That's a long time ago, man. That's just really.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a long time. I hope that they have some type of, some type of information coming in from somewhere, because that is a long time to be unaccounted for. And then you got to be worried, she has her child. Nobody's seen the child since January either. So,
right.
That's terrible.
Yep.
Well, we got 2 more to cover, and then we're going to get out of here. Go ahead and tell us about Kenny Wrightcheck.
Alrighty. He is missing from here in my hometown of Salina, Kansas since November 4th of 2019. 69 when he went missing. He's now 72. He's 5'9", weighs 175 pounds. He's got gray hair and blue eyes. He does sometimes use the last name Brown instead of Wrightcheck. Does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he is on disability, but has not tried to access his money since he was last seen. He may have family in northwest Kansas, possibly around the Colby area. He was last seen at the Gospel Mission here in Salina. He left there and has not been seen or heard from since then. He does not have a cell phone or a vehicle or any identification. His main mode of transportation was his bicycle that he pushed around and picked up scrap metal with and took it over to, used to be Salina Iron and Metal over on 5th Street. It's still there, but it's renamed All Metal Recycling now. If you have any information regarding Kenny's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Kenny located and back to where he needs to be. And, I've talked about it before. I keep holding out hope that he's okay and just, living off the grid and enjoying himself. But, we've had so many hot summers and really, really cold winters that it's hard to hang on to that hope. But I'm still hoping that he's out there okay and just, enjoying himself wherever he's at.
Right. It's a chance, man. I mean, he seems like a guy that kind of lives off the beaten path, man. I mean, there's always a chance. Like you said, he's somewhere in some state, 5 states away, just doing his thing.
Yeah. I know at one point, police thought that he may have been around the Wichita area, but they were never able to find anything to substantiate that or anything like that. So,
yeah, you introduced me to this case when we first started hanging out, and I've been hoping for resolution for a long time. So,
yeah,
any kind of news would be great. Speaking of around when we started broadcasting around December, around 2020, we started doing this show, and Alexander had just gone missing. And Ricky's going to tell you about Alexander.
Yeah, he's missing from Ulysses, Kansas since December 1st of 2020. He was 35 when he went missing. He's now 36. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds. He has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes. He'd called a family member via telephone on December 1st and said he'd be coming over to do laundry. He never arrived at that family member's home in Ulysses, and he's not been heard from or seen by family since then. Alexander's been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance. It's believed that Alexander may still be in the local Ulysses area, or he may be in the Garden City, Kansas, or surrounding areas. At the time of his disappearance, Alex was 35. He's now 36. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes, has a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye. He has Perez tattooed on one of his arms, and he has a tattoo of a cross on a chain across his chest. And we have pictures of that on the flyer, as well as some pictures where you can see the bumblebee under his eye. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can't, almost 2 years later, get Alex found and back home to his family. I know they want him found. They want to bring him home, where he needs to be. And, hopefully we can help that happen. Just got to keep sharing and keep sharing.
And then the flyer says December 1st, 2020 was the last time he was seen. This is a voicemail that was sent to a source of ours who is a relative of Alexander on December 6th. Now, we don't know if it was recorded on December 6th or the audio file was just sent from his account on December 6th, but this is the last communication with Alexander Perez.
I don't know, man. I'm supposed to be going back early morning to go get some shit and then go get some other stuff down there and bring it back down here, but I don't even know, man. It's been wild down there. It's been crazy. Fucking been held at gunpoint and robbed and tried to beat me up. It's a bunch of crazy shit going on in GC, man.
Yeah, that was a pretty ominous message.
Yeah.
And Christopher's asking on any updates on Angela Hammond's abduction from Clinton, Missouri, missing since 91. Not that I have seen. Hopefully someday we'll be able to report there's some updates. But as for right now, it's an interesting case. She was going to go, I believe, hang out with her boyfriend or whatever, and she stopped at a payphone and called him and told him where she was at and said she was tired, that she was just going to head on home and she'd get a hold of him later, and started telling her boyfriend about this older gentleman that was in a pickup that looked kind of, he looked kind of dirty and stuff like that, and he was just being really suspicious. Looked like he was looking around for someone or whatever, and pretty soon her boyfriend heard her scream, and he took off and headed down to where she was making the phone call from. And as he was driving down there, the truck that the guy threw in and took off him was going the other way. So he whipped around to try to go after it. And as he was chasing him, his transmission went out and car died. So he couldn't pursue anymore and lost him after that. And hadn't seen her or heard from her since then. And for a time, the boyfriend was actually a suspect, but he was actually cleared after polygraph and everything. But
really,
it's like an older model. I can't remember if it was a Ford or Chevy, but it had like a fish emblem across the back of the back window of a fish jumping out of water. And we'll have to cover a flyer again here in the near future. But I mean, she's been on Unsolved Mysteries and stuff like that. Matter of fact, I watched that segment the other day. I like watching this with Robert Stack. Some people get creeped out by his voice, but I just thought it was cool.
I'll just tell you this, man. I don't watch Unsolved Mysteries when it's dark outside. It's too creepy. The music, Stack's voice definitely freaks you out, but the music is so creepy.
I joke around with my brother about it because back in I think it was 1991, did an animated Transformers movie, and Robert Stack actually voiced Ultra Magnus.
Really?
In that cartoon, it was an animated movie. And I was joking around with my brother today. I said I'm watching, or was it yesterday? It might have been yesterday. So I'm laying here watching Unsolved Mysteries hosted by Ultra Magnus. Yeah, I was like, matter of fact, I actually wrote him a letter back then when he was doing Unsolved Mysteries and asked him for an autographed picture, and he sent me one. It was an older shot of him when he was doing the Untouchables TV series when he was playing Elliot Ness.
Really?
Yeah, he's holding the Tommy gun up, and it's really cool. I still have it. It's in my collection.
I don't remember 2 weeks ago very well, but I remember 1-800-876-5353.
Oh, yeah. I was watching one today where they were talking about UFOs.
I always like that. Yeah, Trisha
Yeah.
says real life is much more creepy.
Oh,
By the
yeah.
way, Netflix has that Dahmer. Chelsea was saying that there was a huge drug bust in Garden City.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
Like I said, there's bad in every town you go.
Oh, there is. There's
It's hard to
Even
avoid
here.
it. People have struggles, and you
even
have
here.
it. Yep. Oh, definitely, Salina. We covered so many flyers from your town, man. There's a lot going on. It's a big town, though, man. I've been to Salina a couple of times, and I was kind of blown away with like how large it is compared to
Christopher
other parts.
Andrew, he says, or at the beginning, he would say, "Join me. Perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery." Oh, definitely.
Update. Great show. Very scary,
it.
though. Do not watch it at night.
There's a YouTube channel. I think it's Film Rise is what it is. It has every episode. Every season, every episode. You want to binge out, there you go.
It's on there. Well, what do you say we play our located safe and get out of here?
All right. We haven't had a located safe for a couple shows, so it'd be good to have one tonight.
Checking in now again from our producer, Brandon Smith. He made us a brand new located safe. We'll be right back after this.
I always like those located safe reels. I always like to put located safe on a flyer.
Brandon, drop that bad boy in the Dropbox, and I will have Ricky post that. Well, we need to start posting those by themselves on your page, man, so people can just watch that without having to watch the whole show, you know? Because I think people would really like to see whenever we put those out, just because it makes it feel worth it that you do all this stuff, you know, that people are found and people do come home, you know, not always, but it's always good to know when people come home.
And yes, you probably heard my daughter giggling in the background again.
Well, luckily your internet's being janky right now, so it's kind of broken laughter is what we're getting.
And again.
Brandon can post them to the Facebook page. Well, I tell you what, Rick, your computer is lagging, and you are. Give me a test talk. See if I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Hey, you're back, man. Let's go ahead and do what we do and get out of here, man. Great show, man. Tonight was great, man.
Yeah. Well, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together again to go over these cases tonight, and hopefully we can get these people found and brought home, and give their families some relief, and letting them know that their family members are okay. And hopefully next week we'll get some Unsolved Homicides on here. But until we see each other again next week, everybody stay safe. God bless. Take care, and amen.
If you or someone you know is experiencing a suicidal crisis or emotional distress, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255.